today we're going to be making the beef massaman from my new cookbook. There's the picture there, and there's the book. We're going to be doing a beef massaman. It's one of my favorite Thai curries, and it is different to other Thai curries as well because it has a Persian influence. Although we're using stuff like fish sauce in this and coconut milk and lots of different spices. It is very much or was a Persian dish which was then made into a Thai dish. So one thing that sets it apart from other Thai curries is the use of a lot of different roasted and ground spices. So a red paste and a green paste, they might have a little bit of cumin and coriander in them, but this one has a lot of the ingredients you'd expect to see in a Pakistani recipe or an Indian recipe, anything from the Middle East. So we're putting in some, the paste which I've made here. We have roasted and ground some cinnamon, some nutmeg, cardamom pods, cumin and coriander again. So that is different to what you'd expect in other Thai curries. Now on top of that though, and what makes it more Thai is the use of galangal. A lot of galangal went into this paste, as did some lime leaves, some chilies. I'm going to tell you a little bit of story about the chilies here. In my books I say exactly how many chilies to use. And this last batch I purchased were quite spicy, so completely different to the ones that I used when I was writing the book. And I like spicy food, so that was no problem for me, but it was a lot spicier than a massaman would normally be. So know your chilies. Before you go throwing in 20 chilies or whatever, dried chilies, make sure that you're happy with them and use less if you need to. Because it's all really down to, Thai food is really down to tasting as you go. And one of the best ways to do that, to get it off to a good start, is to make sure you don't make it too spicy from the very beginning. So if a recipe calls for dried chilies, know that sometimes they can be quite spicy, and do something about that. Either enjoy it, because I would, or use less if that's what you want to do, because all these recipes can be tailored to your own individual likes. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Now I want to mention this this paste that I've made, and it's quite a lot, probably a good 8 tablespoons altogether of the stuff. And that's because there's quite a lot of shallots in there, and like I said, the garlic and the galangal and everything. So it's a lot of things that aren't really all that spicy. But if you were to purchase a commercial brand of massaman paste and use this much, it would be way too much. It would overpower your curry, because most pastes that are out there, I'm not saying all of them, but most commercial brands use a heck of a lot of salt, and they also use a heck of a lot of chili. So it's where I try to blend my curry paste so there's a nice mixture of shallots and garlic and galangal and lime leaves and just a little bit of chilies and stuff. The most commercial paste will be very high on the salt and very high on the chili. So if you were to put this much in there, it's going to just really blow you away. So just what I recommend doing is, if you don't want to make your own curry paste, which I really hope you do because you will notice the difference, if you decide to use a commercially bought paste, use what it says on the side. So don't use this much. Use, if it says to use 2 tablespoons to serve 4 people, do that. You can always add more, so it's not a really big deal. I'm going to go ahead and start this off right now. Are we on this pan now?
Yep.
Great. So I'm just going to add just a little bit of oil here. And you could use, I'm using rapeseed oil, but you could use coconut oil if you like as well. That's very popular. Another thing they do in Thailand is something called cracking the coconut, which they take really fatty coconut milk and put about 4 or 5 tablespoons of that in there. And as it begins to separate, the oil separates from the coconut. They use that to fry it. And you can try that too, but a lot of the coconut milk that we get here in the UK isn't fatty enough. It doesn't really work as well. But you won't ruin the curry if you want to go ahead and try that. Okay, so what I've got here now is I've got some peanuts, about a handful of peanuts, and I got some red onion there. Not much, but just enough to kind of flavor the curry a bit. I'm going to break those up a bit in the pan. And I really just want to give those a minute or so in the hot pan. I'm using roasted peanuts here. So they were already roasted when I bought them. But you can use raw and roast them yourself if you wanted to. And this red onion, there's not a lot of it. It just adds a nice color to the curry at the end. You'll see little pieces of the onion and stuff. All right, now for that, I'm going to go ahead and add all of this. And like I said, if you're coming in here late, don't use this much of a commercial brand because it will just way overpower your curry. But this is full of just really nice shallots, some garlic, some ginger, some something, tomato. So I just want to give that a nice fry for about 30 seconds. I just want to kind of partially cook it there. Now, one thing I did do before this, and I really recommend you do as well, is I've used stewing meat, so beef stewing meat, and some potatoes. And in the book, I suggest doing this, and that is cooking these ahead of time. So you just stew them in some water for a good hour, hour and a half or so, until the meat is really nice and tender. You could add it raw, but you're just going to end up cooking it that long anyway. So you may as well just have it ready when you go to cook the curry. So if you got your paste ready and you got your meat cooked and your potatoes cooked, no one likes an undercooked potato. Make sure everything is cooked to your liking before you start actually making the curry, and you'll be much happier. And here is some of the stock I got from cooking that beef for so long. So I cooked it for about an hour and a half until it was stewing steak, so it was quite tough. It's not tough anymore. I'm going to add about 250 milliliters, not that much there, a little bit more. So a cup of the cooking stock. And as you can see, I have some more here. In case it starts drying up, I'll add some more. So I don't think it will. I think that's all I'm going to need. And to that, I'm going to add some sugar. In the book, it calls for about a tablespoon. I'm using about a teaspoon because I don't like really sweet curries. So you'll just have to decide you'll taste these as you go, and you'll decide exactly how much sugar you want in yours. It should be a nice melody of sweet, sour, spicy. Here I've got some tamarind, which is going to give a nice sour flavor. That's about a tablespoon of tamarind.
Hi, someone's asking, are the videos available on YouTube to watch?
Yes, it'll be on YouTube, on Facebook, and also here on Twitter as well. So here I got about 400 grams of really nice, thick coconut milk. I'll give that a nice stir in there. I want to break down the lumps of the coconut milk. I'm going to turn this pan up a bit. And it's smelling so nice in here right now. I turned the pan right down, so I'm going to turn it up now, so it's going to come to a nice simmer before I add the meat. I may as well try some of it right now to see what I think of the sauce, if it needs anything else.
That looks great. Is the Thai book available now?
It's available for pre-order, and it's out on the 15th of April. But I'm putting a lot of the recipes on my blog right now, so if you're watching this, you'll see that there's a link to this recipe on my blog, which you'll be able to try out before you try the book. You may as well test it before you get the book, because I'm pretty sure you're going to like these recipes. There we are. Now to that, I'm going to go ahead and add the meat that was already pre-cooked, and also some potatoes. And actually, this is a little bit less meat than I would normally add to this, but we're just cooking for the two of us tonight, so I made what I needed. There we are. I want to get this going to a nice heat. Now, I just tried this just a second ago. I know the meat's perfect because I tried it when I simmered it. It's going to have it's a nice tender now, and I'm going to add. This is the saltiness. Now, in my recipes, I do say you can add salt to taste and everything. A lot of people don't like fish sauce, but fish sauce is a major part of Thai food, I think. So I find that I don't need to add any salt. I just need to add some fish sauce to taste. And that's something you're going to need to experiment with.
And it's got the shrimp paste as well, hasn't it, in the paste?
That's right.
So that's salty.
That's good. I forgot to say that. There's, in the paste itself has shrimp paste, so that's kind of adding a savory bit to the curry as well.
So it doesn't need salt at all, does it?
I don't think so.
No.
The only time you're really going to need salt is if you really hate seafood and you don't want to have that flavor of the fish sauce or the shrimp paste. You might need to add some salt to this.
Were the potatoes part cooked?
The potatoes I cooked through, so they are probably about 95% cooked, and they're just going to finish cooking right now in this sauce. They will be nice and soft by the time we serve it. And you just need to just check it with a fork. You know, if you put your fork in there and it's kind of really fork tender, it's going to be perfect for you. Now, I would normally add Thai basil to this, which has it has a basil flavor, but it also has kind of an anisey flavor to it. A bit spicy. I wasn't able to get any Thai basil, so I'm going to go ahead and just stir in some of this just normal basil.
Yeah, I could get it last week, but I've been struggling to find Thai basil this week.
It's been a little bit difficult to find, and we're using it on Wednesday as well for another recipe.
I'm hoping to get some by then.
So hopefully we will, yeah.
Can you make the paste in bulk and freeze it?
Yes, you can, and I do that quite often. It's just so nice if you've made it, put it in your freezer. It even lasts in the fridge. It'll last in the fridge for a good long time. And it's just so nice to be able to throw this together because this is done now, really. I'm going to give it one last try. That is just like.
How spicy is it with those chilies? Because last week
it's not that spicy. Like the last time we did it,
it was
really
spicy.
Too.
I think I cut down a bit because the chilies we've got at the moment seem to be really hot.
Yeah, they were. But that's perfect for me. Throw a little bit more on. I think you'll like this, North Carolina. And so you just have the nice the onions in there and potato. It is just one of my favorite Thai curries. And as you can see, we just made this in literally minutes. And you can cook it down. Usually Thai curries are quite saucy, like this. But you can cook it down till it's thicker if you want to. I'm going to serve it just like it is here. And also, a lot of Thai curries, usually you would serve a Thai curry with some kind of rice. It would be sticky rice, or it would be jasmine rice. We're not using rice at all tonight, just because we have quite a lot of potatoes. In fact, I'm going to throw some more in there. And we're just going to have it kind of like you would a stew, really, with the potatoes and the meat, and it's perfect. Yeah, and I've added quite a lot of fish sauce. I'm going to add just a little bit more just because I love this stuff. And if we go back over to the other, why don't we just show you? I'll show you what this looks like right up close. There you are. So as you can see, you can make this very, very quickly. And if you make the paste ahead of time and you just pre-cook your meat, you can pre-cook your meat 1 or 2 days ahead of time. You know that, or you can even freeze it. I don't recommend freezing the potatoes after you cook them because they kind of turn a bit rubbery. But if you wanted to, you just cook the meat and freeze that with some of this stock, and you've got everything. It's kind of like cooking restaurant style with Indian food. You know, a lot of people you have to make the base sauce. You have to do the pre-cooked meat. In this case, that's kind of what we're doing with this. I've pre-cooked the meat. I've pre-cooked the potatoes. I've made the paste. But as you can see, if you were having friends over, when we're allowed to do so again, You could whip up this, maybe a green curry and a red curry, and you could do it all in about 10 minutes. Because once you have those pastes done, everything else is just a matter of putting it in the pan.
John's
and
asking, could you
it's
thicken
done.
it with coconut flour?
I wouldn't, but yeah, that would work. I don't think you need to thicken it. If anything, you just that's quite thick right now. I don't know if you can see this, but it is still quite thick. Just I don't know if you can see that or not, but that's perfect for the way I like a Massaman. Just nice thick gravy, and obviously it's good with rice as well. So if we were cooking rice tonight, I would love that over some jasmine rice any day. And also, just make sure that when you try these recipes that you are tasting it as you go, especially at the very end, and just saying, okay, does that need to be sweeter? Does that need to be spicier? If it needs to be spicier, you can always add, because I've made this Massaman paste out of dried chilies, but obviously you can add a little tiny bit or a lot of chili powder if you needed to. But the souring elements, I use tamarind. But if you wanted to, you could use some lime juice or something like that too. So it's just a matter of getting that balance and making sure that it's right for you. And the methods are all there. You just have to decide what's perfect. I think you'll like the recipes the way I've done them, but obviously everyone's a little bit different. You might like a really, really sweet curry, whereas I don't. So don't feel like you have to stick to the recipes completely. Give it a go. It's on my website. It's all there for you. Try it at home and see what you think, and just tailor it to your own individual requirements.
Okay, I think we're just about done until Wednesday, when it's going to be Thai drunken noodles.
Drunken noodles. So we're going to be doing Thai drunken noodles on Wednesday, and I will have that recipe up on my blog probably tomorrow morning.
And that's a lovely simple one, isn't it?
It's a very simple one. It's made for people that have been out drinking, or maybe have a bit of a hangover the next day. Just don't want a lot of fuss. But still want to eat something really nice, and that's.
Except it does need Thai basil, which we may have to replace with.
We might be using regular basil, just the Western basil, but as with all these things, there are substitutes for everything. So obviously, if I can get the Thai basil, I'll be using Thai basil on Wednesday. If I can't, I'll be using this, and I'm not going to complain because I'm sure it's good. Yeah. So is that everything?
Yes, that's everything.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much for watching. Hope you do give this Massaman a try. Most of the books are now, I think, well on the way. They should be in the country very soon. That sounds like the blockage in the Suez Canal has been opened.
If your books were behind it, I don't know.
I think that might have been the case. I don't know.
Well, it's still on time, so.
Yeah, it's still on time, so they'll be here on time. This is available for pre-order now on Amazon, and it's available as of the 15th. And hope you enjoy the new recipes, and we'll see you on Wednesday for Thai drunken noodles.